It's Tuesday again, and I would like to
Two
hang with you
slabs
lads,
of
but I'm off to
rock
listen to the new
revolving
episode of the
about one
Slaven
another.
Selection Show. Play now or
True
stay in dark
twins of
forever.
space, but the twin was only rock, while the one upon which Vincent, Byrne, and Drake were conducting their mining operations was shut down through and through with yellow veins of gold. The ore was rich, unbelievably rich, so rich that it practically crumbled under one's fingers. The price of one cargo alone would run into 6 figures. A treasure house in space, a treasure hoard of the void. This was a paragraph from the Asteroid of Gold, an early, when I say early, I mean 1932 story published in Wonder Stories and written by legendary Clifford Simak, who is normally known as an author of novelette City. The Asteroid of Gold by Clifford Simak is a narrative about prospectors and claim jumping. It could be considered a western. You can even use keywords like the frontier, spaceships, futurism, capitalism, adventure, and of course, manliness. To be very honest with you, there were a few extreme technical ideas I hoped to see a decade ago, such as practical nanotechnology, like, constructing everything out of atom soup, and also asteroid mining. I'll return to nanotech later this year or maybe next, but for now I'd like to discuss the reality of the potential exploitation of numerous rocks in our solar system. The resources on Earth are limited, and we are an insatiable, greedy, glutton-fueled, inquisitive race that always wants more and travels further away. Ants, like any solid general or grabby entrepreneur, understand that the supply chain must be spotless in order to be lucrative. Even a young, hungry newborn in his daily tantrums understands that the importance of precious resources, if you know what I mean. Today, we see the full geopolitical disaster unfolding with Russia's continuous invasion of Ukraine, and despite the fact that there are viable alternatives in the immediate vicinity, Hungary continues to receive 85% of its gas from Russia. When it comes to so-called loyalty, in this case something considering EU, it's actually all about who can deliver the most for the least amount of money, and at the end of the day, no one really cares who is the victim. The Turk Stream pipeline serves as the current functioning gas connection between Hungary and Russia. Russian natural gas is transported by this pipeline beneath the Black Sea to Turkey, where it is then extended into Europe via the Balkan Stream, with links to Hungary. Geopolitics is complicated even on our small blue and green sphere, let alone what it will be like once we start hauling iridium and other ore from the asteroid belt. Precious little things like gold, platinum, cobalt, palladium, nickel, and so on. Perhaps gas as well. Why not? Gas asteroids or extinct comets are rich in volatile chemicals such as water, carbon dioxide, methane, and ammonia. Anyway, will nation governments be able to keep control over space exploitation, or are we going toward a post-national society in which corporations have the final say? As in Charles Dickens' Tapestry, where he ruthlessly chronicled the social turbulence of the Industrial Revolution, we cannot be wiser than to proclaim, oh well, what else but time will tell. The Expanse is a critically acclaimed television series based on James C. A. Corey's novels. It takes place in the future after humanity has colonized the solar system, including the asteroid belt, which serves as a hub for mining operations. The show illustrates the political and social dynamics around resource extraction in the asteroid belt, highlighting the struggles between Earth, Mars, and the Belters who live in the asteroid belt and rely on mining for their lives. In Armageddon, with Bruce Willis after identifying the asteroid's approaching menace, NASA devises a plan to send drillers into orbit to settle on it, drill a hole, and blow a nuclear bomb to divide it in half. Is this a reality? Perhaps not too far in the future, as demonstrated by the Japanese Hayabusa mission. Asteroid mining refers to the projected extraction of valuable resources from asteroids and other small planets, particularly near-Earth objects, and this proposal has sparked interest as a potential solution to Earth's resource depletion and environmental issues. Asteroid mining is the process of obtaining raw materials including metals, water, and other resources from asteroids. Asteroids are thought to contain large amounts of precious metals such as platinum, gold, and rare earth elements which are required for modern technology and industry both. Asteroid mining, which sources resources from space, has the potential to lessen the environmental impact of regular mining on Earth, which frequently, most often, actually involves dangerous methods and pollution. Just think about Brazil, okay? Early concepts are from late 1800s. There was this Russian scientist Konstantin Tsiolkovsky who suggested that the concept of space resource mining, and he envisioned humanity's ability to gather resources beyond Earth. Prior to 1970s, asteroid mining was mostly confined to science fiction, with stories addressing the perils of and motives behind mining asteroids. Researchers speculated on the possible profits but lacked the requisite technology to conduct meaningful research. The Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969 sparked a boom in interest and in human activities beyond Earth. The 1970s saw a rise in scholarly interest in asteroid mining, with a special focus on near-Earth asteroids such as the Apollo or Amor groups, which were thought to be rich in resources. And despite this enthusiasm, experts cautioned about the inadequate knowledge of asteroids and recommended for a systematic approach to their study. There were some technological considerations in the 80s. Interest in asteroid mining remained strong, with a focus on Mars's moons, Phobos and Deimos, as potential mining sites. NASA began investigating how to process minerals in space and the logistics of utilizing mined resources. Concerns over the depletion of Earth's resources fueled increased interest in asteroid mining in the 1990s. NASA investigated the materials found in asteroids, discovering rich resources like as metals and volatiles. Planetary Resources was created in 1997 as one of the first commercial asteroid mining firms, with the goal of developing extraction technologies. In 2005, Japan's Hayabusa mission successfully landed on the asteroid Itokawa, gathering dust samples that were returned to Earth in 2010. This mission established the viability of asteroid sample retrieval and provided significant information about asteroid composition. In 2015, the United States approved the Commercial Space Launch Competitiveness Act, which encouraged private firms to explore and claim minerals from asteroids, taking a key step toward building a legal framework for space mining. As of 2024, asteroid mining is still a highly speculative field, actually, with ongoing research and technology development. And sample return missions such as Hayabusa, Hayabusa 2, and Osiris-Rex demonstrate the difficulties but also opportunities of collecting minerals from asteroids. And the idea of collecting valuable materials from asteroids continues to gain support as resource depletion on Earth becomes an urgent concern, making asteroid mining an appealing option for future research and economic opportunity. Well, what is going on today? According to Scientific American, two companies, Deep Space Industries in California and Planetary Resources in Washington state, are actually actively seeking to extract resources from asteroids. They intend to provide deep space basics like water, rocket fuel, and building materials that are extremely expensive to transfer from Earth. Both companies intend to deploy prospecting spacecraft to asteroids by late 2020s, with missions to test the technology in low Earth orbit beginning this year. Their ambitious roadmap anticipates full-scale mining operations in the later half of the 2020s, and the easiest resource to target is water, says Deep Space Industry Chief Scientist John Lewis. The life-supporting liquid can be electrically converted into hydrogen and oxygen for fuel, which is great actually. So, water makes up as much as 10% of the mass of some asteroids, locked up in minerals similar to the glittery mica. I never know how to pronounce that. I used to work with that, like found in many Earth rocks, but it can be baked out in a solar oven, like along with other volatiles such as nitrogen or sulfur compounds. Modified terrestrial mining techniques could make it possible to harvest iron from asteroids as well. And to extract anything, though, companies will first need to gather raw materials from an asteroid process that some countries, including Russia, Brazil, and Belgium, say runs afoul of the treaty. The OST makes no explicit mention of mining, but one of its key provisions is a ban of national appropriation of celestial bodies. That arguably applies to resource extraction, but the pact doesn't provide you with much guidance on that front, says Frank von der Dunk, a space law professor at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Well, what about the Great White North? How about our precious northern asteroid touch? Well, Canadian Space Mining Corporation, or CSMC, which was founded to explore and exploit space-bound resources, is now focused on creating the infrastructure required for sustainable living in space, such as advanced machinery and off-planet resource generation. The company is interested in lunar exploration and resource exploitation programs and has received funding from the Canadian Space Agency for mining technology development and in situ resource utilization. CSMC seeks to enable the next phase of space exploration by developing technology for harvesting resources such as water and oxygen from the moon and asteroids, establishing Canada as a leader in this growing industry. According to CBC, space mining is getting closer to becoming a reality, and Canada could play a major role. The idea of extracting resources from asteroids and even our own moon has been around for a number of decades, said Gordon Osinski, a professor and planetary geologist with Western University in London, Ontario. But it's only kind of coming a bit closer to reality these last few years. Then there is Deltion Innovations, another Canadian business that has received CCA support, develops solutions for space mining and resource exploitation. The organization is looking into new ways to gather minerals from the moon and asteroids, which will help to achieve the larger aims of sustainable space exploration. While the primary focus is on CSMC and Deltion Innovations, the Canadian space sector is expanding with new firms and research programs emerging. The Canadian Space Agency is also aggressively seeking collaborations and funds to develop space mining technologies highlighting the significance of in situ research for future lunar and Martian missions both. Space mining is definitely going to happen. It is an inevitability. It's not a possibility, and it's going to happen in the very near term, said Daniel Sachs, co-founder and CEO at the Canadian Space Mining Corporation. Humans will return to the moon in 2025 as part of NASA's Artemis initiative, which has been signed by 29 additional countries, including Canada. As part of the initiative, a new space station circling the moon will be built, known as the Lunar Gateway, which, with a Canadian contribution, of course, Canadarm3. The station's ultimate goal is to serve as jumping-off point for missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. Aside from the technical and financial hurdles that need to be cleared before we get to mining space resources, comes a very real one. Who has ownership? So we're going back to the Outer Space Treaty, OST, which turns 50 years this month, and the founding 1967 treaty declares space the province of all mankind, of course, quote marks, and prohibits the almost 100 states that have ratified or acceded to it from settling celestial bodies of utilizing them for military purposes. The accord is gaining new urgency with the imminent potential of asteroid mining, a concept that was unthinkable when the treaty was drafted, but it's now a near reality. And most existing international space accords, such as the Outer Space Treaty of 1967 and the Moon Agreement of 1979, are distinguished by their ambiguity. Well, this ambiguity has allowed governments such as the United States and Luxembourg to establish legislation permitting private corporations to begin mining asteroids. Very little has been stated regarding resource regulations. The only resource restriction demands that no single country own the moon or celestial bodies in their entirety. According to Harvard International Review, as the implications of environmental deterioration and natural resource depletion becomes more severe, scientists are emphasizing not only the sustainable use of existing resources, but also the identification of new means of getting resources. For instance, scientists are investigating novel but problematic resource extraction techniques such as fracking. And one proposed option, asteroid mining, is simply out of this world. In general, asteroid mining is still a pipe dream owing to its prohibitively expensive nature. While particular cost estimates for commercial mining are unknown, such initiatives share characteristics with NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission, which aims to collect samples from a near-Earth asteroid named Bennu. That's with two N's. Despite only returning between 400 grams and 1 kilogram of material, the mission is expected to take 7 years and cost more than $1 billion. Planetary resources and deep space industries were unable to raise funds to cover such exorbitant development expenditures. Both companies were purchased by other corporations in 2018 and 2019, respectively. The asteroid mining industry is currently in its early stages with no public companies or major stock market influence. Early enterprises such as planetary resources and deep space industries were privately funded and ultimately failed to meet their lofty aims. While some experts have theorized that asteroid mining could spark a global struggle for resources and power if it floods the market with valuable commodities, this is still purely speculative. And due to high costs and technical obstacles, asteroid mining is unlikely to affect global commodities markets in the foreseeable future. Neil Tyson once said, "There are asteroids out there with more gold in them than have ever been mined in the history of Earth. And he also said that the first trillionaire will be an asteroid mining mogul. I'm not sure what to think of that. I take too much processing power just to understand the concept of cryptocurrency, let alone the genuine value of golden castles in the air, or vacuum for that matter. Gold is now widely regarded as a reliable investment. Will it be the case if we haul something from space near us? It's hard to tell, and again, time will tell. Despite the exorbitant cost, the development of asteroid mining technologies might be a worthwhile endeavor given the incredibly valuable materials that asteroid contains. For example, Asteroid, which calculates the potential worth of over 6,000 asteroids tracked by NASA, has found that mining only the top 10 most cost-effective asteroids, those that are both nearest to Earth and have the highest value, would result in a profit of almost 1.5 trillion US dollars. There is also significant room for further growth. One asteroid, 16 Psyche, has been reported to contain 700 quintillion in gold, enough for each person on Earth to earn approximately 93 billion. Holy guacamole! Wow. Finally, I'd like to point out that, just like with anything, early adopters will benefit the most. And if I had to choose between digging Canada, Russia, or Venezuela, or a rock flying around our solar system, I would not hesitate. I wouldn't even think twice. I would place an ad on the job website. Space miners needed. Exorbitant earnings. Selection will be conducted from among the contenders. Selection or not, drilling asteroid or not, you know the drill. Stay selective. Bye-bye.